This is E-Commerce Uncensored. Brought to you by Fast Forward Unlimited. We're coming to you fully loaded and exposed with all the strategies and techniques for growing your e-commerce business.
Hey everyone, and thank you for joining us on another episode of E-Commerce Uncensored. My name is Kevin Manel, and I'm with Jason Crusoe.
Yo.
I'll say your name this time. This is episode 34, and today we'll be talking about, well, actually, let me start over. Let me say that usually we talk about how to acquire customers on this podcast, right? We talk a lot about how to turn cold traffic into customers. And today we want to talk about something that we feel like a lot of people neglect. And
especially our clients.
Especially our clients, you're right. And that's customers they've already acquired and the things that you can do with them after you've made the initial sale.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people, right? They get a customer, they get excited, and then they try to go get another customer, right? And that's great. I mean, you can certainly make money that way. The problem is that that's not really the easiest way to grow your revenue, right? Like, as an e-commerce store, we have these things called, average order value and conversion rates and those sort of things. And that can certainly take, both cold and warm traffic and increase your revenue. But the easiest way and the most inexpensive way, that's like the big thing, is it doesn't cost you as much money. And that is, selling to your current customers. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you've paid up front to really acquire that customer to begin with. So after that, it's all gravy, right? So you're just trying to push the more sales to them.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about, giving your product away for free just to obtain a customer. And, if that's what you're going to do, you have to understand that you're going to want to make that money on the back end, right? Whether that be, an email or maybe some flyers or whatever. We're going to go into that. But the point is the easiest and the cheapest way to grow your revenue is to sell to your current customer base.
Yeah, and if you already have a customer base that you've been around for a while and you have had some success, look at that list of people. Like, we have 2 clients right now that we're working with that have a pretty decent sized database of already existing customers that they really have done nothing with, right? They're just sitting there. They bought something, and then it's like, okay, well, maybe we'll see you again sometime, some other time.
Yeah, it was pretty funny actually. When I was working for this e-commerce website, it was I don't know, it was like $1 million website, and when they hired me, right, like I looked at the stuff, I'm like, look, I can double or triple your sales like instantly, and they're like, well, what do you mean? We've been working on this. Like, no problem, we'll take it. And like the first thing I did was I just took like their current customer base, and I just sent them an email and said, hey, you've been a customer for a long time. We haven't heard from you in a while. Why don't you take this discount or this coupon and come and grab, or come shop with us again, or whatever it is. I mean, that's not important in this podcast, but the point is that those people trust you already. You don't need to convince them to take out their wallet. You know that they trust you already, and that's the hardest part. So, they're like the easiest people to sell to. So instead of concentrating on always getting new customers, clients, or whatever, think about these people that have already purchased from you. I mean, that's really where the gold is, because those people, they like you already. I mean, just because they haven't purchased in a while doesn't mean that they're not going to need what you're selling.
Yeah, and you probably seem like a superhero to those people, right? I mean, it seems almost pretty simple and elementary to us when you think about it. It's just like, just sell to the people who already bought from you. It's just simple, but people don't think about it, and it's funny that way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you kind of get wrapped up in like the whole scaling type thing, right? Like, everybody wants to scale their business, but that's part of it. That really, I mean, yeah, it's not endless. You're not going to be able to do it over and over and over and over again. But those people will buy from you, and you can systematically sort of increase your revenue by just reaching out to them and saying, hey, you love this product. Why don't you try this product? Tell them what it does, what it'll do for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what we talked about, sending out promotions to an already existing database of customers. Now let's just touch on a few things that you can do immediately after someone buys. So someone's on your website, they make a purchase. What kinds of things can they do like right after that? What can you do to reach out to a customer and try to bring them back in?
Well, I mean, we've spoken about upsells. Obviously, that's a major thing. Upselling them to a product that's related to what they just purchased. That's important. The other thing, though, is that, after that, there's a lot of things you can do as well, right? Like that's not where it ends.
Right.
You can...
Yeah, you can totally, especially around the product that you've sold to them, I think, is what you can do is you can, first of all, welcome them as to being a customer. Make them
You're talking about an email, right?
Yeah, in an email.
Okay.
Yeah, so you send them an email after purchase, and you kind of welcome them, and you thank them for their purchase. Very light email, and maybe send them some content that relates to that product. So tips for using it or something like that. You don't want to go right after them and just offer them a sale. Do you agree with that, or do you think you should go right after them and try to get them to buy again?
So they just purchased from you on the website, and you send them a welcome email, and you want to sell to them again?
Yeah. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying you should, in the welcome email, offer them some piece of content or value based around the product that they just bought.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to thank them, right? Thank you for purchasing the product. You may want to say, here are some other products that could complement the one that you just purchased. You can certainly do that. But in sorry. But sorry guys. Somebody's distracting us. But I guess in relation to this particular podcast, so the same company I was telling you about where I reached out to their current customers, there were some things that I did that they weren't even doing that really sort of surprised them because they didn't even think about it. And I think maybe this is where you were going with this question, is that every box that left our facility, we had something in it. Hey, thanks for your order. Whether it be follow us on Facebook, or here is a coupon for your next order, or something. I mean, there's an opportunity for you to get in front of them without being annoying, right? They expect something in the box when you send it to them. So it's not like you're being pushy or you're trying to, shove things down their throat. But it's funny because I've seen so many people not even thinking of that being an opportunity, and it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a free opportunity too. I mean, you already
paid for the You paid for the shipping. You paid for
You're putting
all
a piece
the marketing
of paper into a box. I mean, you paid for the printing of the piece of paper, but it's essentially there's zero cost there.
Yeah, and I think that what happens is online businesses really think that online is the only place that they can do business, so to speak. Maybe that's the wrong word, but they think it's I'm an online business, so that means I only do online. But they don't realize there's just so many other opportunities. Another thing that really sort of works is postcards or something in the mail. That's another big thing. This particular company I was talking about had 800,000 customers. I mean, think about sending out postcards, 800,000 customers. If you just got a small percentage of those people to come back or to win those people back, I mean, it's a huge number. And I think, again, people forget there's just this opportunity with your current customer base. You think that they buy from you, and it's oh, okay, thank you, I'll talk to you some other time.
Well, I think considering your printed material, your postcard, it goes back to what we've talked about multi-touch point marketing, right? Because you're just touching them in another way. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, every piece of mail, every postcard I get in the mail, I just toss in the garbage. Yeah, that might be the case for someone you've never heard of before. But think about how many Bed Bath & Beyond catalogs you get in the mail. It's obviously working, right?
Yeah, I mean, you almost wait for those. My wife, like, oh, we need to buy this or we need to buy that. And she's like, oh, I'll just wait for a Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yeah, I got to get
20% off.
I got to get that postcard, that big postcard in the mail. So
yeah, and it's important. It's it's not just about online, and I think that's really like the main thing is like, online. I mean, there is online, but there's also offline, and that customer base is really, really valuable, and they're the easiest people to sell to, and that's really an important point.
And you can learn a lot about, like I said earlier. I think I said it earlier anyway. But
I think I said that in our talk.
But learning about the customer that is actually buying a certain product, that gives you the ability to be more effective in your marketing selling forward. You learn more about them. You learn what they like. You learn what they don't like. You learn how to speak to them. You learn what kinds of content to send to them. So you can do all kinds of new things to not only engage your current customers, but also gain new ones through the information and knowledge you get from your communication with your existing customers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that's it for me. I don't know if I have much else to say. Really, don't just think about acquiring new customers. Think about like the people you have already. Now, if you're a new business, obviously this is not going to work for you. But for those of you who have businesses, even if you have 20 or 30 customers, like go back to them. And another thing I forgot to mention actually is like don't be afraid to ask them to spread the word. Like, give them some sort of discount or they can save on their next order if they refer a friend, right? There are these refer a friend programs. Those are huge. I mean, like, look, get one of your friends to come. We'll give you a free such and such, or we'll give you 20% off of whatever it is. But don't be afraid to like ask those people. They're your friends. They really, and when I say your friends, I mean they like you already. They know you already. They trust you already. And if they had a good experience with you, all you have to do is ask them and say, "Hey, would you mind, sending this off to your friends, or let them know about your experience with us, or whatever." I mean, you got to think a little bit outside the box and not just always online, especially with e-commerce businesses. There are some businesses that this wouldn't work with as well, but e-commerce business is huge. Anyway, if you have 10 customers and 5 of them can tell a friend, you got 15 now. And it's just...
Yeah, speaking of not being afraid to ask, you could ask people for reviews and, potential testimonial videos. I think a lot of times people think, oh, I don't want to be annoying, and that's desperate to ask people for reviews. But I think it's a really good opportunity to build the product and build the audience around the product and the reputation around the product.
Yeah, we push reviews a lot.
Yeah, and it works.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Well, that's about wraps it up for this episode. This has been episode 34, and you can check out all the podcast notes at ecommerceuncensored.com. And we'll talk to you guys later on.
Later.